7.3 billion people, only one you. Life offers us many opportunities and learning experiences. Are you ready to explore and discover this beautiful planet, the life and energy all around us, the spiritual world, and what is unseen, along with your own personal soul adventure? Marc Lainhart, the Intuitive Prospector, is the spiritual connection you have been prospecting for. Internationally known as a tested and professional clairvoyant medium and spiritual advisor, Marc's work as a metaphysical teacher, medical instructor, radio show host, inspirational writer, and hiking guide are here to help you on a journey of self-discovery, healing, inspiration, education, and a whole lot of spiritual awesomeness. Dare to dream, dare to explore, dare to live. For more information on Marc's spiritual practice in Seattle, Washington, please visit marclainhart.com or internet search The Intuitive Prospector.
All right, good morning. Let me get my camera set up here. All right, hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be in this beautiful planet of ours. This is Marc Lainhart, the Intuitive Prospector, here for another Metaphysical Mocha Mondays. Good morning to everybody. Got about 20 awesome spiritual prospectors tuning in. Let me just add some light to it. Okay, so how is everybody doing this morning? Monday morning to you. What is today's date? Today is the 19th of October. I just want to say thank you for tuning into today's show. And this morning, if you do me a big favor, I'd really appreciate it. Like the page, subscribe to the page, share out the page. Just because there's a lot of what I like to say spiritual awesomeness on this page and the work that I do, and bringing encouragement and inspirations and motivations to your daily life. This show is a 30-minute inspirational show with the focus of all of the above: encouragement, motivations, inspirations, thinking outside the box. And this morning is going to be no different. But in order to have a Mocha Monday, you got to have some coffee with your Mocha Monday. So let me just grab... got a little bit of a setup. You might have noticed I changed the setup this morning. I went with my YouTube video, and I thought I'd give that a try and see how that works on Facebook Live. I've never done that before, and I kind of took my backdrop, which is usually right here. It's usually brought forward, but I thought I'd just kind of bring it in so you can kind of get a sense of the studio and where I do a lot of my work and a lot of my readings and my radio show. And of course, I'll be on here in about a half hour for the Healing Cafe, which is done via Zoom. So grab your coffee, grab your tea. I like to use different coffee cups every week, and this week is my Key West. This is called the southernmost point in the continental U.S., down in Key West, a place that we visited last year and did some awesome diving. But this morning...
I'm having trouble hearing you.
Oh, well, my watch wants to, she wants to be in the show, I guess. So it's always interesting when that does that. But this morning I'm going to be talking about what I call optimistic progress. And I'll be sharing a crystal with you this week. I'm finally wearing a sweater this week. It's the fall. It's because the weather is changing. But I'm going to be talking about optimistic progress with you today. I'm going to give you a crystal, your numerology number for the week, and then also a positive mantra to help you get through the week. So again, if you're new to the page, welcome. Stick around at 8:30. I'll come back via the Zoom platform for the Healing Cafe where I actually do live readings. This show is just an inspirational show where I don't interact with anybody on the page. Good morning to my behind-the-scenes team that helps me manage and edit and keep me going. But I hope that you're having a good Monday morning, or Monday afternoon, or Monday evening, wherever you find yourself in the world. I do want to just give a big shout out and just let those in Europe know. I've got a lot of friends and colleagues over in Europe, in Wales, England, France, Norway. They're locking down. I just saw an alert. I know France declared a state of emergency again with COVID. We're seeing COVID ramp up, and it's just a matter of time before it comes to the United States again. So I just want to say to all of my friends and colleagues across the Atlantic pond, please be safe, stay indoors, follow the lockdown or whatever they're doing for your government, because, this COVID is real. I've been saying it all year. It's not a fake thing. It's real. It's killing people. And we know that the fall season is going to be very dangerous as well. So I just want everybody to be safe, be well, and be properly informed. So this morning, when I was sitting in my meditations thinking about, gosh, what am I going to talk about? Because my shows are never planned. I don't have any script around me, no plans. I just come on live. Same with the Healing Cafe. And I always like to say it's like a spiritual box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get until you actually log in. But I wanted to talk about spiritual progress, but also what I call optimistic progress. And I want to read something to you, and I want you just to kind of let this sink in to kind of where we're at. I know that, I've been doing a lot of readings with my clients, and in my spiritual development group, we've been talking about all of the civil unrest and the uncertainties in life and what's happening with COVID and the fear. And there's more to come with this, but if you go back, if you've been following my work for a while, you know that I've long talked about the great coming together. I've talked that 2020 would be a year of sustainability, self-mastery, homeostasis, which homeostasis is a medical term, to have your nervous system be in not a fight or flight all the time, but actually find a way forward peacefully in a center. And, whether it's politics, whether it's civil unrest, whether it's social equality, whether it's Black Lives Matter, whether it's equality for gay marriage, whether it's women's rights to choose, we're trying to find our pathway as a society, as a culture, as a species to incorporate everybody. And I said 2020 was going to be a very difficult year because in numerology, we call it the dedicated worker or master builder. So I knew a lot of things were going to have to implode in order for us to start moving forward to build things anew. And through that, think of it like a construction site. If you tear down something, it's dirty, it's noisy, it's annoying, it can be dangerous when you're tearing stuff down. But that's what we're doing in 2020. We're tearing stuff down, and eventually the dust will settle, the dust will clear, the anxiety will come down, the uncertainties will come down, and we will start to build something new. And we'll look back at this year with literally the saying, hindsight is 2020, and go, okay, now we know why the caterpillar kind of freaks out before it becomes the butterfly. So every caterpillar requires a season of isolation before it becomes something bigger and better than itself. And this morning, when I was sitting about in my meditation and what I wanted to say, I kept coming back to optimistic progress. And what I mean by optimistic progress is if you just think back, even 10 years ago, before social media really started to take play. And social media is a big problem with what we're dealing with. I'll be honest with you. News media, social media. But I was having this conversation with my wife last night, actually, just talking about how we've progressed, not necessarily as beneficial or as evolved as I thought we would be, but at the same time, we've progressed nonetheless. If you go back even just 5 years, 10 years, 25 years, 100 years, and think about the things that they talked back then and what has progressed now, I always believe in optimistic progress and where we're going and what things are going to look like in the future as a seer, as a psychic, as a medium. Some of the things that I have to see at the current rate, I've been seeing this for well over a year where we're at, having to deal with that, but now I'm kind of more at peace with everything because it's happening, but I know that the great coming together is also going to take place. And I know that there's progress, but there's usually no pain, no gain. We call it growing pains. In order to progress, there usually is some pain before the progress, unfortunately. And that's where we're at. But this morning I wanted to read something to you and just give you perspective, because what I always teach is the art of spiritualism. I'm a spiritualist. is the ability to shift your perspective. Your perspective, somebody else's perspective. We all sit at the table of life, but in the end, we're really just walking each other home, and we're here to make the best journey that we can. And we do that with Metaphysical Mocha Mondays, every Monday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, a cup of coffee, followed by the Healing Cafe, and of course, the power of breath. So, before I get to my message, go ahead and just take a deep breath with me. Move into what I call the magic of the moment. Let's just still the mind for a second. That's very important to do because there's a lot going on. You're watching the show. You're thinking about your day. You're thinking about COVID. You're thinking about maybe you have children or your job. There's a lot going on. So I always just say, let's pause. Let's just pause for a second. Take the power breath. Listen to the message, and then you can get on about your day. So take another nice deep breath with me. Move into the magic of the moment. And I just want to give you this perspective of something that was shared with me. I don't have the author's name. It's anonymous, but I wanted to share it to give you a perspective of how we've progressed and what optimistic progress looks like and spiritual progress looks like. So imagine that you were born in 1900, turn of the century, over 100 years ago. When you're 14 years old, World War I begins. And it ends when you're 18. So that means for 18 years... in the 1900s, World War I progressed, and people fought over land and fought over ideologies, very similar to what the Iraq War is, right? It's one of the longest wars we've been in, well over 18 years. But imagine being born in the 1900s. When you're 14 years old, World War I begins, and when it ends, you're 18. So 4 years, not 18, sorry, 4 years have progressed from the time you're 14 to 18. There's been a 4-year war. And you've had 22 million people die in this world. It's called the Great War. 22 million people dead. Shortly after, a world pandemic known as the Great Influenza Flu, or the Spanish flu, breaks out. And a flu is called Spanish because it actually, one of the first cases was in Spain. Spain was the first country to really report on it. But we know from history that it most likely came from the Midwest of the United States when we were sending doctors and soldiers over to France to help fight World War I. So this Spanish flu breaks out. This great influenza flu breaks out. World War I is just ending. People have been in isolation. This pandemic lasts for 2 years. They get out to celebrate parades. More people die. In the end, the Spanish flu kills 50 million people. So in that time frame at the turn of the century, you're talking about 22 million dead from World War I. You're talking about 50 million dead from the great influenza Spanish flu. And you come out alive. You come out unscathed from this, and you are now 20 years old. And you've gone through a lot in, 6 years, from 14 to 20. You've gone through a great pandemic. You've gone through, you've experienced war, and to see that many people die and move into the spirit world still is very mind-blowing to me. I've done my past radio shows of Inspired Living Radio. I've talked about, on average, there's about 50,000 people a day on this planet today. 50,000 people will move into the spirit world on average. And that's from everything from, not just take COVID out of it, but just car accidents, sickness, old age, freak accidents. 50,000 people a day on average, based on the studies. So you've got now, you're 20 years old, you've witnessed a World War I of 22 million dead. You've witnessed a great pandemic where 50 million are dead. And then at 29 years of age, you survive what we call the global economic crisis that started with the collapse of the New York Stock Exchange, causing inflation, unemployment, famine. We call it the Great Depression. The Great Depression lasted for over 10 years until we started to move into World War II. And at the age of 33, so you've gone now over a decade, you've gone from 29 to 33, we start to realize in Germany the Nazis come to power. And at 39, you're now almost 40 years on this planet, World War II starts. And during World War II, it ends when you're 45, so you've gone almost 6 years of World War II. And we know from that there's over 60 million dead, not including the 6 million Jews that were pretty much killed and tortured and ideology wiping them out, but all the soldiers that fought, all of the allies that fought, all the German forces that fought, with a total of over 60 million dead in total from World War II. So you're still living, you're getting older, you're starting to get into my age group now. You're 52 and the Korean War starts. And when you're 64, the Vietnam War starts, and it ends when you're 75. A baby born in 1985 thinks his grandparents have no idea how difficult life is, and survivors of different wars and disasters survived. A boy born in 1995 and today 25 years old thinks it's the end of the world when his Amazon package takes more than 3 days to arrive, or when he doesn't get more than 15 likes for his published photo on Facebook or Instagram. In 2020, many of us live in comfort. We have access to different sources of entertainment at home. We often have more than we need. But people complain about everything. Yet they have electricity, they have a phone, they have food, they have internet, they have hot water, they have a roof over their head. None of that existed in the past. And I think about people of the past to help us get to where we're at. That's progress. We have progressed. The message is called progression, spiritual progression, and optimistic progression. So think about the turn of the century, not having all the luxuries you have right now. Millions and millions of people dying from either war or influenza. And here we are today. We have survived. We will survive. I think those are more serious circumstances than where we're at right now. And they never lost the joy of living. Every person that I talk to, I don't like to say older person, I like to say a person that is seasoned and have lived through those experiences. Take some time to sit down with somebody that's, in their 60s, in their 70s, in their 80s. My next door neighbor, Ralph, God bless him. I miss him. When I lived in Marysville, he was our next door neighbor, and he served in World War II, and we would sit on our retaining wall that separated our properties, and we would just talk and we would philosophize, and he would share things. I mean, his ship was literally sunk by a German U-boat, and the Navy picked him up out of the water, and he woke up on a hospital ship. He got to meet President Eisenhower. He got to meet Marilyn Monroe. He actually had a Coke with Marilyn Monroe, and I will always remember and be honored to hear the stories. He went through the Great Depression. He went through World War II. He lived to be in his 80s. He was an amazing man. And he never complained. He actually found joy in life. And for me, I've always long thought about that in my own journey, in the traumas and the tragedies and the suffering that I've gone through to be doing the work that I am today. And Ralph will always live in my heart. He's part of my spiritual entourage to help me with the work I do. And I just always think back on him to go through the Great Depression, to go through World War II, to survive in conflict of war, and to be a man in his 80s. He actually survived an aneurysm on his aorta. And most people, statistically, if you follow medicine like I do, that statistic is about a 95% death rate when somebody's aorta on the back of their heart bursts. He survived that. And he still had a smile on his face, and he would still say hello, neighbor, and I'd come home from work after a long day thinking my life is bad, or I just spent 3 hours in traffic here in Seattle, working a job I didn't really care, and he'd always, say, hey, how you doing, Marc? How's your superstar wife? And just always had a attitude for gratitude, always had a smile on his face, and his aura, his energy was always just radiant to me. And I've long thought about that, and he's inspired me. He's actually motivated me. He's given me a path forward to think about the things that we're going through right now, guys, are not that different from past, but we have progressed. And when we progress, that's where we evolve. That's where we become better. I always talk about optimism is essential to achievement, and it's also the foundation of courage and true progress. I truly believe that. I really do. I think that you have to have that optimism, that hope, because when you lose hope or you lose that optimism, it's the old, is the glass half empty or is the glass half full? Trust me, there are times I feel like the glass is half full. I am human, but I really try to change my mindset to focus in on, okay, how can I fill that glass up, and how can I make that glass today with the magic in the moment? How can I enjoy that glass of full water for my journey? I remember working with some people in the Coast Guard who always say, I never even got a glass. They were so negative and so pessimistic and so not optimistic that they literally say, I never even got a glass. So I wanted to share that about progress, that, I know the times are tough and what we're going through, but we will progress. We will move through this. I know there's a national election coming up. I know there's a lot of divide in the country. I've been talking with a few of my mentors to help manage me through this so I can, show up every Monday morning to inspire you and to encourage you and to motivate you to stay in that positive mindset, to keep hope, to stay in love, not fear. Fear likes to sell. Be careful of the media you're watching. Be careful of the social interactions you have, especially over the next few weeks. I think we're going to see a lot of attacks within democracy. I've long talked about that the next World War, if we have a World War, will not be boots on the ground like we've experienced in the past of World War I, World War II. It'll be more of a digital warfare. It'll be more of a cyber, and it's already taken place in a sense. We're already being attacked by other countries to, try to rock the vote, try to bring democracy down. I'd like to see the United States of America start to come together, and so a country divided doesn't stand, and when we're at each other's throats based on ideologies and right versus blue and Trump versus Biden, all of that stuff, all that's doing is separating. And I want to bring people together moving forward. The election is going to happen. We have a constitution. There will be some rough roads ahead, some rough times ahead. But at the end, I do see what I talked about at the very beginning of this year, 2020, the great coming together, sustainability, self-mastery, homeostasis. And next year, as we move into 2021, it's called the Year of the Five, which is also called the Freedom, Love, and Adventure, which means things are going to open up progressively to move forward, how we take care of our planet, technology, space exploration, how we start to appreciate society and the differences within society, equality. There will still always be battles. Democracy is a messy process. It's never been easy. If you go back even to the Founding Fathers, we have an electoral college. We have a popular vote in electoral college because that electoral college was actually an agreement because they couldn't come to agreement. So in order to move forward, you sometimes have to agree to disagree, but you also have to give up something to get something. And that's what democracy is. And when we contribute to be willing to share our vulnerabilities, we set bold goals, and we measure our progress. What I'm doing today's show is talking about optimistic progress, knowing that lots of wars have happened, lots of people have passed into the spirit world, but we're still here today. We have progressed. And I always just think about the caterpillar. The caterpillar, when it's going through its metamorphosis in the cocoon phase, goes, what the hell is going on? And then all of a sudden, wow, I'm something different. I'm a butterfly. I've got a different perspective. I got a new way of thinking. That's what I feel that this transformation, this great awakening, the age of Aquarius, whatever your belief system is, whatever you want to call it, that's what I see happening with society as we start to go through this progression. And remember, our metamorphosis is this COVID pandemic because we require a season of isolation before we become something bigger and better than ourselves. And that's where I see us going. It's, it's not easy. My heart and my thoughts and my prayers go out to anybody impacted by COVID. I've been personally impacted by it. We've even had a few scares where, we were waiting for people to, get tested to see if they were positive, see if we had to quarantine. But in the end, this too shall pass. I see the great coming together. And I just wanted to, just talk about that, progress doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. It's not a sprint. It is a marathon. And what you can do right now with everything that you're going through is just try to find that attitude for gratitude. Find the magic in the moment. And really, any negative thoughts that you're surrounded by, change that negative thought into 3 positive thoughts. If you find yourself surrounded by people that are negative, or they like to gaslight, or that they love drama, really think about how your relationships moving forward progress. Do you want to be around people that instill drama and chaos and fear and worry and lie? And I'm sure all of us could come to a few people that come to our mind of what's going on in our society right now. But at the end, I really do love just straight talking forward people. And the reason I say that is, I love that somebody can be just straightforward. It's a lack of drama, and it just makes life so much easier. And I think that's another thing that we're going to start to move forward to into our society. We're going to be more straight talking. And when I mean straight talking, you can always be kind, caring, and compassionate with your words. But I also feel that we're not going to, after we've gone through what we've gone through, we're not going to put up with, there will always be narcissistic behavior. There will always be gaslighting. But I think we're going to fight and stand up more. And that's the spiritual warrior that I've been talking about lately. So I just want to say thanks for tuning in to today. I want to give you your cards before we get ready for the Healing Cafe here in just a few minutes, which I will switch over to the Zoom platform. And it's a great way to come in and have a reading with me, have a conversation. It's not just me doing readings, guys. This is also, if you have a question for me, come in and have a question or philosophize. Grab a cup of coffee, grab a cup of tea. I've been doing this show for a couple years now in a way to inspire and motivate, encourage people. And also, you can get a free reading. It could be psychic, it could be mediumship. We can talk about intuition, awareness. You just never know what you're going to get. But if you want to learn more about what I'm doing here in Seattle, Washington, I'm in the beautiful Pacific Northwest here in my studio. You can visit marclainhart.com. You can internet search the Intuitive Prospector. You can find me every other week on Inspired Living Radio through Om Times. I've got an encore show this week, but I'll be back next week on the air. Go to my events page, and a couple great workshops coming up, great demonstration of mediumship coming up this month on Halloween. It's going to be fun. So make sure to check those out. You can also find me through your Alexa. Just ask to open up Positive Living. I just recorded a new series of spiritual tips to help you through your journey. So when you activate Positive Living, you actually get those tips from myself and other amazing colleagues. And get on my YouTube channel, because I'm going to be doing spiritual takeout through my YouTube channel and my Instagram channel. And also on the day before election, on November 2nd, I'm going to be doing a free sitting in the peaceful power meditation and setting space. So if you're interested in that, let me know. But today, the card that I picked is the Surrender card for numerology. Now, I know it's backwards, but it's a 9 and a 1, so it's a beginning and an end. The 1 in numerology is the beginning of something, and we go through 9 years, and then their cycle repeats. So the 9 is actually completion. So it's a yin and a yang card. It's surrendering. The color is orange, so this is a color of spiritual growth, spiritual progression. The crystal that I picked for you this week is the emerald, and I picked the emerald because the emerald is a stone of inspiration and infinite patience. And over the next few months, we're going to need patience. We're going to need forgiveness. We're going to need a lot of breath work. We're going to see the true character of what America is and what America is to become. I have faith and hope that we will move forward. But the emerald is a very cool stone. I like the emeralds in its raw form versus the polished form. And it's a life-affirming stone with great integrity. And it's known as the stone of successful love. And it brings domestic bliss and loyalty. And I think we need some unconditional love right now. Wouldn't you agree? So that's your crystal for the week, the emerald. Your numbers are 9 and 1, which is beginning and end, and just surrender to that process. We're not going to be able to control what's going to unfold. All we can do is control how we respond to it. And of course, the last is the I Allow Myself card. I'm not doing a totem animal spirit this week. I wanted to give you the ability I allow. So it's the pyramids with headphones. And what it says is I allow myself to listen. We have 2 ears in life. 2 to listen, 1 mouth to speak, but I always say we have 3 eyes in life, 2 to look, 1 to see. So thanks for tuning in to today's show. I hope that you're staying safe. I hope you're staying healthy. I hope that you're staying properly informed. Please go out and vote. I'm loving the inspiration to see people vote, regardless of who you vote for. I still think it's a honor and a right and a privilege to vote, to really set the tone for our moral fiber moving forward. Because I do believe that when you vote at the local level, the state level, the federal level, politics is morals in action, and it is also character. It represents a country. It represents us as a people. So vote. Very important. And again, some free events coming up, including on November 2nd, which will be a Monday. It'll be on right after Metaphysical Mocha Mondays. So I hope that you'll join us. I'll put a couple links in the field if you want to. We have an event later this afternoon called Soul Guidance with myself and a colleague in Norway, Ramicha Stavers-Wright. That'll be starting at 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time via Zoom. If you want to join that, it's a great way to just kind of feel motivated and feel inspired and uplifted. And we'll be doing that. It's our fourth. I think it's our fourth. In a series of five events, and then we'll be doing it again in 2021. So I hope that you'll join us for that, and I'll put the events page link in the comment section below. But let's get ready for the Healing Cafe. I'll be back here on the Zoom platform in just a few minutes, so I can get everything all set up. But again, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for having a cup of coffee with me this morning. Until our next soul adventure together, be kind, be caring, be compassionate. Most important, with everything that's going on in life, stay in love, not fear, and dare to dream, dare to explore, dare to live. I'll see you next Monday at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for Metaphysical Mocha Mondays. Now we'll get ready for the Healing Cafe. Have a great day, everybody. Namaste.